that's kind of ironic because that's when I heard Code. That's the first time I heard Code. He walked up to me. He's like, yo, man, I heard you looking for a new DJ. What the fuck? Yeah, he was like 17. He was like this big. He was like cute. You know what I'm saying? It's like, dude, it's like I do hardcore shit. It's like you cute, you cute and shit. It's just like he said, all right, let me get on the fucking turntables and just like let me show you. I'm like, yeah. He's like, okay, no, fuck a turntable. I'm gonna get on my mom's big old ass fucking from the 50s, big ass component set. I was like, damn. We wrote PSK the next week.
Where was the recording studio though? Where would you guys practice or whatever?
We had like a house. Because back then, you get like those houses, the houses and shit. You get like the HUD houses and shit. And the first house was just like at Lynn's house. I don't know how his mother put up with our shit. I swear to God, his mom put up with our shit. Like I'm talking about 24/7. My buddy's mother, and she was just like, I don't know, was she just like putting napkins on the door? I don't know what the fuck she did, but she just like sat there and she, no matter what time, high school, how you doing? You go and practice and shit like that. And she was always fucking nice, always came in. And like we had to practice at 5 in the morning. Yeah. That's what I like about these motherfuckers that it's like, man, my girl. Fuck your girl, bitch, you 20. What the fuck you worrying about a girl? You're supposed to practice. If I told you to be here at 5 a.m., your fucking ass is supposed to be here at 5 a.m. And when they told me and Hodge to be there at 5 a.m., they didn't even see us, man. It was just like, we was doing some shit that motherfuckers didn't even know. You know what I'm saying? And I wrote, like in '83, I wrote the first gangster. It was like Gangster Boogie, and it was like that was a hit on tapes. Before it was a hit on record.
How did you distribute that first album, though, man? How did it get out on the streets? How did people hear it?
That was magic. That shit was magic. Those motherfuckers was like, look, because I was like, we was like, I'm saying it was like DJ Cruz. I knew everybody in the record stores. Like, school, when you come out with your shit, we'll put it in our stores. Like back then, it was only Philly, New York, and Ice-T. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it was. I'm serious. Like Philly, New York, Ice-T. That's it.
There was no West
Coast. It was no nothing. And Ice-T was doing those movies, breaking movies and shit. And it was just like Philly, New York. So it was like what they would do was like they would trade. So it was like the motherfucker would come down in a white van from New York, would enjoy, and you know what I'm saying? All the motherfuckers, and they would trade shit. And so they started trading my shit, and they just thought they thought I was Spoonie G. They thought I was the new Spoonie G. And that motherfucker just like sold like the first month was 100,000 copies in New York, which in 1985 is what today would be like selling 1 million copies in a month. And it was just like I didn't know. I didn't fucking know, dude. We made the records. It was like a 12-inch. It was Gucci Time on one side, PSK. It was like $2. I made a deal. The motherfucker was like this. You know what I'm saying? It was like, like the motherfucker was mob related and shit like this. So trust me, I did not get all my money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But it was like, okay, I'll give you $1. So he took like $1.60. He gave the distributor 60, and he took $1. You know what I'm saying? He taught me some valuable lessons. Always getting women to work for you. And you know why? Because them bitches got kids to feed. My men don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? They be like, I ain't going to work. You know what I'm saying? My stereo system is cool and shit. Like, let that bitch go to work. Always hire women to do like the real good shit. And I've always hired women. He said, don't fuck them. Sometimes I fucked up and fucked them because I was young, but you can't fuck the women that work for you, man. It's like, and it's just like, always remember this shit. But they all went to jail though, because it was like, they like bootleg Michael Jackson, they bootleg Tommy Boy. This motherfucker, this FBI agent. They only had like 4 FBI agents back then, like for like all. No, I'm serious. Like for all the music, for all the music, right? And like you know what I'm saying. And one of them was in like fucking like he showed up like in the marsh in fucking Jersey, and all the motherfuckers went to jail. I remember the day going over getting my last check. When they was about all together, just like school. It's like the room was dark. It was like school, I always liked you. I'm serious the fuck. It's like, but it's like it's numb. It's like, and it's like, you so like, like, damn, like 2 million of that shit.
What? No.
But, you know, I had like expenses. You know, I'm serious. I had expenses.
Give me the
He
excuse.
said, I had expenses. I went on, dude, it was like this. Luke found out that the motherfucker was bootlegging me. And my manager at the time was like, he was being shiesty. I remember going at the airport in Miami, going up, and Cole, we had like some like champagne and shit. Cole took the 2 bottles of champagne, it's like cracked dudes in the fucking head, blue. His fucking face was like all fucking bloody and shit. The police came and like all this shit, but it was just like, I remember getting home, and this is a lesson. It gave me a question, do you like your mother? Yeah, do you love your mother? What the fuck is this? Yeah. And they called Warren. And they asked him the same thing. And Warren called me back, said, get your pistols ready. And I'm gonna tell you something. Well, they made you a star. Now, he asked me this question. Do you have another song in you? Do you have any more songs in you? I was like, yeah, I got some more songs. He said, because there's only 2 things you can do right then. If that's your only song, you got to go out shooting motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, I ain't gonna do this shit no more. I'm a stupid motherfucker. This was lucky. But he asked me if I had more songs. He asked me if I was like a lifer. I was like, yeah. He said, well, you know what? Just like, they made you a star. So out of like the 2 million PSKs in Gucci Town, I think I only got paid for like 300,000.
When was the first time somebody called it gangster rap? When was that?
Oh, John Leland, Spin Magazine.
Who?
1985, John Leland. He was in Baltimore checking out these gangs, Yo Boys. You know what I think? I'm like, yo, yo took a yo, and these guys in Baltimore, they was like yo gangs and shit like that. And it was like, when he was down there for like the weekend, all he did was listen to me. And see, the shit like the shit started getting scary. But you listen to PSK for like, you know what I'm saying, like 20 times, and they was like slow it down there. They were like really slow it down. So he came back and was like, you know what, gangsters, rap, gangsters, rap, gangster rap. School of D is gangster rap. That's how gangster rap was fucking created, PSK. And my mom was like, this motherfucker is like, I was still living with my mom. You know what I'm saying? I was making so much fucking money but I was out every week.
Right.
For like a year and a half, I was not home. I was still living with my mom, and it was like, I get home, and my mom was like, you know, this guy, Ice, you know what I'm saying? Like, he keeps calling. So it's like, I call him back, call his manager, George, and just like what's up? And Ice-T gets on, and just like, I got the West Coast fucking PSK. And he brought PSK to the...
Really? Ice-T? So
Yeah.
You guys were actually talking about it.
The PSK was already in the West. I didn't even know it was selling like the same thing in New York. I didn't know that because gangs in Philly was the same as gangs in fucking like LA. I did not know this shit. First of all, when I was doing this shit, I did not know motherfuckers was like, you know what I'm saying, was like that shit. I didn't know it was like gangs anywhere else. You know what I'm saying, right? I just thought the gangs was only in Philly, in New York. I didn't know it was like gangs in LA. But it was like 100,000. That month in like New York, like 100,000 right out there in fucking LA. I didn't know about LA. And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna bring you out here, man. And he like brought me out, and he's like, this is the fucking West Coast fucking PSK, 6 in the morning. He's the one that took me to Dre and Easy and all those guys. And it was like, and we would go to the studio, and it's like, so what did you use for this? 909. It's like, and then all of a sudden, it's like you hear like the West Coast changing like their whole fucking shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like the, she's an easy E number 7 the same because you know what I'm saying? It's like, and it's like that whole thing. It's like that whole fucking thing that's like changing. It's like, but I was like nutso because it's like they. I had these girlfriends. Like they wanted to sign me. Like, but I just signed a deal with like Jive Records, and I tried to give them the money back, and they gave me more money. I swear, I took the check back. I took the $175,000. I don't want this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? And it's like they say, fuck it, we'll give you another 150. Just keep it. Like, oh, shit. But I still didn't want it. It didn't feel right.
Maybe I should leave and come back.
It just didn't fucking feel right, man. It just didn't feel right. It didn't feel right at all because I should never. I'm an artist that should never have been on a major label. But it's just like when those guys got to it, man, they fucking just like did something. They made this shit so entertaining And you know how the East Coast is. East Coast, we all like uppity. You know what I'm saying? Malcolm X and shit. Yeah. Brother, speak to me. On the West Coast, they like, fuck that shit. Kill me. It's like, because it's Hollywood. And it's like the next thing I know, man, like 2 years after that, them motherfuckers was like fucking everywhere. The first record on Job was like Smoke Some Kill. It's like people didn't even say Smoke Kill. I couldn't even like, they couldn't even say it. You understand? Like right now, motherfuckers couldn't even say kill.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like all it was weed. And they said, Schoolie, we need a radio record. You know what I gave him, right? A song called Mr. Big Dick.
That's a
Was I psycho or what?
That is a classic.
And he looked at me like, this motherfucker. It's like, but we already gave him like $300,000. The fuck we got it. And they made a video. For that shit.
For Mr. Big Dick.
Yeah, it's like it still plays on the Playboy. It's like I turned into like this claymation dick. You know what I'm saying? It's like but me, I went to fuck Barbie and shit. And they was like, no, we can't do that shit. It's like, no, come on, man. Me, I was like, you know what? It's just like everybody thought I was crazy. They think you ruined your career. Mr. Big, they call it Mr. Big Richard on the radio. You should hear like the radio version, because it was like Mr. Big Stuff.
Right,
Mr. Big Dick. Who do you think you are? Mr. Big Dick. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And Abel called me so many times. It's like I just hung up on him. I said, is you white? He said, yeah, fuck you. Is you white? Yeah. Motherfucker! Because I was working on the album, Am I Black Enough For You? Because I was like so mad at like record companies, and it was like, and everybody in the record company was white, so just like, I just associated everybody white with evil. You know, and I was reading Malcolm X for like the 6th time. And you know, I had a white girlfriend, so I was like, yeah. How can I do this? and he just fucking you know what? He said, fuck it. He just took it, put the fucking music in the movie, called me up and said, look, come to fucking New York, and it blew me away. This shit, they really blew me. It's like, he said, you are a film composer. And he took a big chance because it was like, I could have just like said, take this shit out. Fuck, are you crazy? It would cost him like a lot of money to take this shit out. But it was like, he just blew me away. Just like, and he just like promised me that he was just gonna teach me everything about film composing. Because I was doing like the song King of New York. And it was like, you know, man, I'm like, I was like, I mean, I was really like in the 20s and shit. Like, I was like, fucking like, you know what I'm saying? I had like 5,000 and bangers, had pictures and shit, had a big ass fucking crib and shit. I had 2 weeks to write the goddamn song. Then I got sick. And Abel called me up like the night before. So we'd be down tomorrow. Tomorrow? 2 weeks was up that fucking fast. So he said, do you got the fucking King of New York song done? I said, hell yeah. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes you gotta lie. It's like, I got it done. I got the fuck done. I had shit done. I swear to God, I had shit done. So I called up this cat who wanted to produce with me, this cat named Eric. And I dug his shit. And I never really worked with anybody else doing music for me. And it's like, and my lawyer at the time, Warren, was just like, try this cat. And his music was like cool, so we just like, he came up with some music and just like, let's just start writing. Like writing like 3 in the morning. Then we go to the studio, it's like, that's when you're young, you can write till like 6 in the morning, go to the studio like 12 and shit. And we wrote that shit, and I swear to God, one fucking take. The video is the only take of that fucking song. Really? One take. I did it in one take, and Abel kicks the door open. We're here, you know what I'm saying? Like, film it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, do it, yeah, motherfucker. Yeah, shake your cock. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm like, this motherfucker crazy. But it's like, that's the take. The first time I did this shit. I didn't know the word. If you look at the video, fucking Lawrence Fishburne knew the fucking words better than me. I swear to God. I'm like, Fishburne, like, yeah, motherfucker, shit. You know what I'm saying? King of New York. I'm like, what the fuck I say? You know what I'm saying? I was like, I swear to God, I did not know what the fuck I said. I did not know what the fuck I said. Yeah. Fishburne and Abel knew everything I said. Abel knew that fucking song after the 3rd time we heard it. Everybody knew it but me. I swear to God, it was like, man, I don't know this fucking song. Abel, don't worry about it. Just like we'll fix it. You know what I'm saying? We'll fix it and shit. It's like, and he did. It's like, but if you look at that video, that King of New York video, it's just like, I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. I'm like, yeah, and motherfucker, all the cuss words I know. Motherfucker, I'm straight to the point. And Fishburne is like, yeah. To me, like, King of New York, like the ultimate New Yorker, ultimate like New York rapper, ultimate, like anybody's as smooth as I am. It's just like, I would have to say, it's like, I just thought just like, it would be Big Daddy Kane. You know what I'm saying? It's like, cause I always ask my, like, over the years, I ask my questions like, why did he just like choose Big Daddy Kane? I think I asked Abel that once, and I think we were both in the drunken stupor, so I don't know what the fuck he said. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I don't even remember and shit, but he would like, he would like go through like, and it's like, it's weird because it's like, my mannerisms, it's like, I do something, like what I just did, like right now, Abel would do that shit. And I would just like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, but talking to him was like, I always wondered, like, why didn't he choose Big Daddy Kane? You know what I'm saying? It's like, I would, you know, we're King of New York.
Right.
I mean, that shit had to hurt all the rappers in New York, though. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, Philly, but, you know, it's like, but, I mean, like, New York, I love New York. They fucking love me. And it's like, I mean, more than like my own, like, hometown. I don't know. I mean, he was a great manipulator. I think I'm a manipulator too, but it was like I just to sit and watch him, like you know, like sit on the phone, like 3 phones and shit, 5 phones, and just like, you know, get shit done. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, we got this over here, we got this over there, and you know, he taught me like so much. It's like, that's how you get a fucking, it's like so easy. That's how you get a movie done. Go get a fucking actor. You know what I'm saying? Get somebody, go to the bank, just go to the bank and say, you know, I got Chris Walken, and they'll give you $6 million. But the thing is, it's like I would get scripts for, like 2 years, 3 years in advance. Abel would like write, rewrite, write. He would just switch writers. It's like, if it wasn't right, he wasn't gonna fucking do it. You know, and I think that's like, that is what we do the best, but that's like, that's why we get, like Abel and I, it's like, that's why we are here today, but it's also like, it can be like a downfall for both of us because we both kind of like stubborn, like, you know, I'm not gonna do it if I don't feel it. And we both had like problem with like with money. I'm just like, you know, Abel wasn't gonna take no fucking money to just like, you know, punk out, and I ain't gonna take no money to punk out. You know, he'll walk away from a gig, I'll walk away from a gig. And I mean, a lot of people couldn't understand it because we got people depending on you and shit. And it's like when I first seen him, like doing the King of New York, like he had this whole like 20 motherfuckers following, grown fucking men. You know what I'm saying? Just like following him and shit. Just like, you know what I mean? Like really seriously kissing his ass. And it was just like, because these people depended on Abel's fame to eat. And I had like kind of the same thing in whatever I was doing. So motherfuckers depended on me to eat. So when we got together and we started like working together and shit, it's like, I didn't depend on him to eat, he didn't depend on me to eat. And that's why it was a perfect fucking relationship for those 12 years. It was like, that was perfect because we never bullied each other about like, if, you know, when somebody was broke, somebody was fucking broke. You just like, you know, I didn't blame him, and he didn't blame me. And that was like the beautiful thing about working with Abel. My music has changed. It's like, I play like more instruments. Like, I really play like a lot of more instruments now. It's like I like to play drums, guitar, bass, keyboards. I mean, because it's like you have to be serious. You have to set a mood to like shit. It's like you have to be serious. I mean, being a film composer, it's like being like, okay, it's cool. Like the first couple of years, a rapper, you know, Schoolie D and all that shit. It's like, but to be taken seriously, you have to take yourself seriously. Well, you know, it's like, I don't know how seriously I take myself. Maybe by myself I do. I take myself more seriously, but
When you're making your own records, are you using more live instruments now?
I always use live instruments.
Yeah. Well, I heard you did that in performance a lot.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, I don't know how. I mean, I'm better. I'm just deeper. Because you know, I'm just older. I'm just deeper. It's just like, I mean, yeah, I'm just deeper. As far as lyrics go, I don't know about the lyrics and shit. It's just like, I always thought I was a better producer of music than lyrics anyway. But a lot of people like they really love my lyrics because they, it's like Abel would say. Abel listens to Schoolie D and Bob Dylan. I don't know what the fuck, you know what I'm saying? He said your lyrics are perfect. Um, but I think as far as lyrics and music, it's like when I got a gig, I think I really do the lyrics. But just fucking around, I don't do great lyrics. I do great music.
King of New York wasn't a movie that was necessarily pulled apart and referenced, line by line here or there, but people used that phrase, they used that attitude, and the character of Frank White. When Biggie Smalls, Notorious B.I.G., was shot and eventually killed, he was checked into the hotel under the name Frank White. That Frank White character, he repeatedly used in song, and as somebody who was so New York identified, Biggie was all about Brooklyn, all about New York, that the imagery and the sort of cold-bloodedness of King of New York spoke very clearly to him and went to, probably a bigger audience through people listening to Biggie records than people who would have seen the movie in the first place. One thing I think important to remember is hip-hop is so often defined as if all hip-hop were gangster rap. And the fact is that there's a whole spectrum and a whole diversity of different kinds of hip-hop, whether it is music that's more just sort of party and club music, whether it is music that is about having a more positive message, a more conscious message, whether it is something that, like a gangster movie, is just about telling stories about what's going on in the street. There's a wide spectrum of hip-hop that has evolved over the last 25 years. The other thing to remember is, at this point, hip-hop has been around for about 25 years. The first rap record on the pop charts, much less music that was being made, performed live, made in the parks for years before that. The first rap record on the pop charts was the Sugar Hill Gang's Rapper's Delight record in 1979. We're now coming up on 25 years since then, and so this notion that hip-hop is a fad or a little trend that'll come and go, 25 years, you're talking about, if you move that into rock and roll terms, that's from when Elvis first went into the studio to make his first record, all the way up to the 80s, all the way to MTV, and people weren't looking at rock and roll in 1980 and saying, oh, well, it's a fad, it's going to go away, it's not really here for the long haul. Hip-hop is a music that has demonstrated its flexibility, its ability to embrace different figures, whether it's Will Smith, whether it's Queen Latifah, whether it's Dr. Dre, whether it's Eminem. It is music that now is global and international. The gangster rap and the most hardcore edge of that certainly is part of what hip-hop is about, but it's not the only part. It's sometimes the only part you hear about. If you're just, learning about this from the headlines in the newspaper, that's what everybody concentrates on. And to be honest, it's a very popular part of this story. It has become increasingly a popular part of the story. But for kids who listen to the music, they know that it's part of the options. It's one of the options that's out there. It's not the beginning and the end of the story. For so long, the amazing thing about hip-hop has been the ability to surprise, to create records that sound like nothing you've ever heard before, that seem like they've come from an entirely new place. With those first records, with those great Schoolie D singles, he managed to record some songs that simply sounded like nothing the world had ever heard before, both in terms of their content and in terms of their sound. And those are the records that help change the direction of a music. And this is a music that has really changed the direction of our culture, of the world's culture. And so to have done that, that's no small thing. I have no. Schoolie D was running around for a while saying he invented snowboarding, of course. That's my favorite Schoolie D story. He at one point said, we would rip the linoleum off the kitchen floor and we'd slide down the hills in Philadelphia. We were doing that before anybody was talking about snowboarding. I'm not the snowboarding expert to answer that, but I respect that he is looking for the ways that he influenced culture bigger than just making records.
guy who put me in touch with him was an Italian critic called Alberto Bizzotta, and he emailed me Abel's phone number, and at the bottom of the email he put, "Be careful, he bites." And I passed that warning on to other people.
I'm just me. I'm a guy who, this is my environment here. This is, 100 yards from my house, and I'm a quiet. I like the quiet. The silence of the woods. I walk down here every day when I'm not working, and I would prefer this than any, walking down Fifth Avenue or going downtown or uptown any day. I have been the DP on, let's see, how many now? I've been a DP on Driller Killer, Bad Lieutenant, Dangerous Game, The Addiction, The Funeral, Blackout, Subway Stories, New Rose Hotel, and Our Xmas. I think that there seems to be more of that, but I met Abe. I went to NYU. I just finished in 1977, and Abel was doing attempting to get his first one off the ground, which was Driller Killer.
I got there, and I remember thinking I was terribly inadequate at first. Like, I knew a lot of stuff, I had a lot of skills, but I didn't have a lot of movie experience. And I just felt like I had nothing to say at first, and nothing to add. And, as time would tell, it, became evident that he was so open to hearing what the other people in the room had to say, that he actually made it easy to communicate. A lot of people will say he's not easy to communicate with, and that's true. And when you can communicate with Abel, it just gets so quick and so short, and the ideas are like machine gun. And he made it so that it was okay to bring something in, say something, bring an idea to the table.
The place was about this big, okay? So it was a confined space, very little seating, and there's this guy sprawled over this bench, this look, and with his shades on, and with this really surly look on his face. I said to Barry, "You see that guy over there? I'd like to kick his ass." 2 days later, this guy who runs the place, Ted Gamillion, introduces me to this guy who I wanted to kick my ass. Well, I wanted to kick his ass, and it was Abel Ferrara. He says, "Hey, Tony, I want you to meet this guy. You guys are really be perfect for one another." And, and Abe and I, we went for a little stroll and talked. And I says, "Hey, man, we got to work together sometime,
He had made his way down to Rockland Community College in Suffern from I guess, Peekskill, and he had been a friend of my brother Frank's, who was a photographer in Nyack, right? So the introduction was made there, and he knew that I did music. I played piano, and I was basically a studio musician, and an arranger. So I had no experience working in film per se, right? And I was introduced to Abel as a filmmaker, and it was not really something that I was so much going after. It was more happenstance that it happened like that. So I ended up meeting, this crew that was working around Abel at the time, and this was before everybody had taken on new names. So Nicky St. John was Nicky Oliverio. I always knew him as Nicky Oliverio and still know him as Nicky Oliverio. And Doug Metro was Dougie Gervasi, which is still to me his name, and Mary Kane. And there were a couple of others. Frank was part of the crew at that point, and there's probably my brother Frank D'Elia. And there were probably a few other people. Jackie McIntyre was also one of the original team members. And I think that it was the crew was perceived more as a band. Abel and I would always talk about it as being the band, and Abel was the lead singer of the band, essentially, and the leader of the band, and the rest of us were players in the band.
He was a character, but he liked surrounding himself with other characters. And I remember this one time we were in Daly's, and it was we were